Hey Raiders, welcome back to another video. This one won't be live arena battles, but first, yesterday's trivia question: who is the only champion in the game with increased speed, increased attack accuracy, and turn meter boost all in the same skill? Well, that's Lady Kimmy. Yusuf and Kinesi answered it correctly. So today's video is about Lady Mikage. She is the new permanent fusion, so everybody eventually can get her if you stay focused, save the right champions, and fuse them. How is she going to impact live arena is the question here. So let's go ahead and take a look at her kit. First of all, she is a mythical champion, so she has two forms. Her A1 on Form 1, she attacks with one random ally from the Shadowkin faction. So we'll take a look at the faction members. She also places a shield buff on the ally with the lowest HP, very similar to Duchess with that A1. Also, similar to Marichka, except she does not attack with Taurus. And let's see who she can attack with. So Lady Kimmy could be useful. She might use it with Lady Kimmy, who can reduce turn meter. She might go with Harima, that you might use to reduce attack. Harima would probably be the best to pair with her. You might be using Yumiko. Yumiko pairing with her is going to reduce turn meter, just like Lady Kimmy. So these champions would be pretty useful. Yumiko, she could steal and then be faster, steal turn meter. The other one you might use would be the new champion Shuzen. She has a chance of placing block active skills. It's not a high chance, but there is a chance. Of those, I would say Harima is probably the best, although Shuzen is getting a lot more use lately. Going back to her A2 attacks all enemies and decreases the duration of all enemy buffs and all ally debuffs by one turn, then increases the duration of all enemy debuffs and all ally buffs by one turn. This is a combination of a lot of different champions, and it's all in one. No one else has this skill altogether. Some have half of it, some have other parts of half of it. First, let's look at Sandlash Survivor. So she decreases the duration of all enemy buffs by one turn, then increases the duration of all ally buffs. So she gets that plus two other helpful skills in one. Who else has two parts of those? Well, it would be the rare champion Valerie. Valerie, who increases the duration of all buffs on all allies by one turn, then also decreases the duration of all debuffs on all allies by one turn. So Lady Mikage A3, the A3 is arguably even better than that A2. The A2 with all those different parts of the skill. The A3 is kind of like Cardial, all added into one. You've got increased attack, increased crit damage, and is ally attack. So who else does increase attack? Krila Witch Arm, but she doesn't do it in the same skill as her ally attack. So with Krila Witch Arm, you have to decide, do I want to do the ally attack first, or do I want to do the buff attack first? She has the increased crit rate, not crit damage, so that's also nice. So probably different uses, but the ally attack nonetheless, and the increased attack nonetheless. The other one is Cardial. Cardial has the ally attack with increased crit rate and increased crit damage. Now the increased crit rate is great for PvE, but not so good for PvP, where if you use it, you have to always use the two in tandem. Lady Mikage then, let's take a look at her passive. At the start of this champion's turn, removes all debuffs from the ally with the highest attack. That's very similar to Sifi's, except it's at the start of her own turn, not at the start of that champion's turn. And in the case of Sifi, that champion is always Rhodos the Lost Groom. But if you make Lady Mikage fast, then it might still function very similarly. So that can work on your Sun Wukong. That can work on your Rhonda. Or anybody else you use, but those are free champions that everyone has. Back to Lady Mikage. She has an aura, increase accuracy in all battles by 80, so that's really good for bomb teams. Switching her over to her second form, the Spider. Looks pretty cool. A1 attacks one enemy, places a sleep debuff for one turn. Also decreases the target's turn meter by 15%. That's very similar to Lady Kimmy with the turn meter decrease, except hers is on the second hit, and it's a 50% chance. Can attack the same enemy if it is the fastest on the team or has the highest turn meter. Also similar to Sifi with that really annoying sleep, except Sifi's is unresistible. Lady Mikage's is resistible, but Lady Mikage has ignore resistance. That's a really good skill. That sleep from Sifi is very helpful in Live Arena. Her A2 attacks all enemies, places a stun debuff for 1 turn, also decreases their turn meters by 30%. That's huge. There's a lot of champions that do the AoE stun 100%, but they don't decrease the turn meter with it. That also can ignore some resistance. I use Gofford a lot, and he has AoE stun. Looking at Lady Kimmy, she has an AoE that will decrease their turn meter by 15% and slow them, so that's kind of similar, but it doesn't do the stun. Her A3 places a 50% increase accuracy buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also removes all buffs from all enemies and places Weaken. So that's also kind of similar to Lady Kimmy, who does the increase accuracy buff. So she does a lot of overlap with Lady Kimmy. She also works well with Lady Kimmy. Who else is that skill similar to? Well, Ryan the Conjurer, who has a 100% chance when booked of removing all buffs and places the Weaken and has that accuracy aura. And then the passive at the start of this champion's turn decreases the turn meter of the enemy with the highest attack by 15%. So you'll never be in this form to start the round, so you won't get that to start a round, but you can get it if you shift and then come back around. So who is she going to pair well with? Well, first one that comes to mind is Duchess. Duchess has the revive that Lady Mikage doesn't have. Duchess has block debuffs, perfect veil. Duchess does what Duchess does, and Lady Mikage will complement that. Duchess goes well with Cardio. Duchess goes well with Sifi. Duchess is going to go well with Lady Mikage. I think the big thing about Live Arena is Sifi has that revive. Lady Mikage doesn't. So Lady Mikage should be paired with somebody who can revive. Lady Mikage, you're going to need to run with accuracy and with decent speed, and so she may not have great survivability skills, so Duchess will help her survive greatly. Harima will pair incredibly well with her because Harima has an A1 that does damage and will decrease attack. Yumiko will do really well with her. You could use her with the A1. You can also use her on the ally attack, and you can use her just in general like you use Yumiko. You could use her with Shuzen. Shuzen would be your primary speed lead, and then you could go into an ally attack with Lady Mikage. These two would not be ideal together, though, because Shuzen is not a reviver, and you should pair her with a reviver. On top of that, though, she will work really well with bomb teams. She has the increased accuracy. She has the increased attack. She has the weaken. She has the buff strip. She has everything bomb complement needs. She has the accuracy aura. You could put her in a hybrid team that's not just bombs, that has maybe one strong hitter, one bomber, and she's going to do really well. She doesn't have what Lady Kimmy has in the turn meter boost and increased speed, though, so she can't quite take Lady Kimmy's role. Overall, though, I think Lady Mikage is going to be a great addition to Live Arena and your Live Arena arsenal. Hope you enjoyed the video, and take care.